Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to another Layer by Layer. I'm Noah Roez, and in today's tutorial we're going to take a look at making a frame for maybe a pair of eyes. Let's take a look over the overhead and see what we got. So I got this here frame. It could be for glasses or a PCB with eyeballs. And what I wanted to do is create this really interesting curve here in the nose bridge area. So we got this frame, and all of these edges are straight and kind of up, right? They're all straight, 90 degree. And then as you come to this area here, you start curving outwards. You see that extreme angle there. And this sort of curves and blends together to create this nice, interesting taper here for your nose. So you can actually put it up against your nose and it feels good because it's not straight. So that's really nice. So how do you create this where you have a straight edge and then you start curving in like this? How do you bend that, right? That's what we're going to take a look at in Fusion 360. So let's jump right into Fusion. All right, here I am. So here's the design that we came up with, and you can use this to create a pair of spectacles or an enclosure for a pair of eyes or something. But you can see here I have some straight edges here that's going to print flat, and then it doesn't need any support material because this is an angle where FDM 3D printers can totally handle it. It's at a 45. Really, really cool. So let's start creating our frame. So I'm going to start with a new design, and I'll go ahead and create a new component. Let's call it frame. And it's just going to be a single part inside a frame. Let's create a sketch, and I'm going to draw right on top using my top view, looking at it down. Okay, cool. So I'm going to start with my line tool, and I need to sketch out half of our frame, so just kind of one. So I'm going to create a little construction line like that and make it a construction line. Cool. So now I need to create sort of this this frame here. So I'm going to start from here. I want it to curve up a little bit, out. Let's go something like this, down, across, over like this, and back down, and hit OK. So there are our lines, right? You can kind of see that it creates sort of a glasses. So let's go ahead and start defining some edges. So depending on how or what you're designing to, maybe a human face, you might want to add something, maybe a canvas, attach a canvas so that you can have something to sketch on top of as reference. So I'm just adding dimensions here. You can add degrees as well if you want. And I am just saying, let's say I want, your constraints and your sketches are going to be completely different depending on whatever project you're doing. So that's always helpful to say. Let's make this 23. And what I'm trying to do is make it so that all these are, actually, you know what I'll do? I'll zoom into my design here, and I'm going to go to the first sketch that I drew, and I'm just going to reference those numbers here because I kind of want it to be the same. So what was I looking for? 53 on that edge there. I was 43. Let's say 53. And then what is this over here? Is 110 degrees, and this is 10 over or 4. So this right here is 4. Ah, I see. So what I'll do is, in order to attach this right there, I can use a line, connect those two dots, and then that line with it selected, I'll make it horizontal. There you go. Make it X, and let's bring this out to, I think it was 4. Let's take a look. 8. Okay, the number is 8. So I'll say 8. Boop. Okay, cool. Looks like this can still move around right here. So I'll apply that 110 degrees. 110. There we go. So now you can see my this whole sort of connecting loop is now constrained. It's fully constrained, and I cannot move it because it's all locked and loaded. So now what I can do is I could double click that and bring up the sketch shorthand, and then type in mirror, pull that up, and then I have those already selected. So my mirror line will be any one of these lines going up and down. They're construction lines. So I'll select that one. Get a little preview before you hit OK. There we go. So now I can select that. One last thing I'll do is I want to add a circle here. One really easy way to add a tangent curve is to grab the line tool, click and hold, and then drag it out until it starts curving, and then I'll drop it. I'm still holding the mouse button, and then let go, and now it's locked in there. Both edges here are now tangent, so it's nice and curved. Cool. Sweet, so I'll hit OK. All right, so now that I have my kind of base shape, I'm going to extrude this out. And I want it to be I actually want it to be 2 millimeters. Sorry about that. And at this point, let's go ahead and bring up our user parameter windows and start adding some parameters. So I'll hit the little plus button here. The first one I want it to be is the shell. I actually want this to be 1.5 millimeters. So if you want to make this a little bit thicker, you can change that. We also want to change the height of the frame. I'll make this 8 for now. And that's really it. That's all I need right now. Okay, so now I have this. You're wondering, why is it so blocky? Well, it's because I premeditated. I actually want to add curves and fillets as not a sketch. I don't like creating fillets inside of sketches because sometimes my dimensions go crazy. So that's why I like to not use curves inside of not curves, but not fill. I don't like to use fillets inside the sketch. I like to make those fillets in the outside of the sketch in the extrusion, just because I feel like I have more control. So I brought up my fillet. You can add multiple fillets here. So I'll start off with the outer edges here. This one and this one will be the most extreme ones at 19.5. It's a pretty big one. And then I'll make another selection, add new selection. And then I'll select these two guys here down near the eyebrow, or not eyebrow, but the eyelids, the lower eyelids. And then I'll add something here like, let's say 12. Or no, let's do 18. Let's do kind of big. I need a nice curve there. So 18. Okay, that's starting to look better. Let's add some more selections on the corners here. I can add probably a small one on these two corners. Why not these two over here as well? Make it all that one selection. Let's say we want 4. There you go. Looks cool. And then for the last part, I'll add this right here. These two. We can add, I don't know, let's double that 4 to 8. And there we go. Hit OK. That applies it. Now I have this very cool solid here. All right. So now what I need to do is I need to create a frame of this, right? So what I can do is make an offset. But first I want to show you sort of as a visual, how am I going to get that tapered angle? Well, the easiest way to do a tapered angle is when you're actually extruding. So if I start extruding this out, you can see I have this little handle here. And if I start moving it, you can see it's tapering all the edges. And that's very, very useful. But in some cases, some shapes rather, the extrude feature doesn't like to close in on itself. So at a certain point, at like 30 degrees, it won't let you do it because it's closing in on itself. And that's where you can start seeing that right here in the nose bridge area and this top area. It's starting to close in on itself, so it won't allow us to do that. So how do we fix this? Well, the first thing we want to do is kind of modify our geometry a bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into the sketch. And because I want this area to be curved, I can kind of just fill this area in here because that seems to be where it's intersecting itself. So I'll just grab another line tool and I'll connect this dot to that one there and hit OK. So now what I can do is back into this extrusion, double click on that, and then just add this little piece, the top piece, to my selection, hit OK. And there you go. Now I have this area here. Now the fillets kind of got messed up because I added a new profile to it. So let's go back into the fillets and modify those selections. So it looks like this edge here, I'll need to select that one there. And I think that's it. Yeah, everything else is fine. So I'll hit OK. So that updates my fillet. Now when I extrude this out, I'll select the top surface again and start extruding outwards. Now I can go all the way and do my 45 degrees if I want. I think I'm going to stick with 35 for now. And you can see that that's working there. Okay, so now I can hit the accept button. And now what we need to do is we need to create another profile that will cut away and just leave us with a bit of a frame, a bit of a shell rather. So what I'll do is I'll come in here onto this bottom, select that, and actually create a sketch right on top of that. Now what I'll do is I'll hit the letter P on my keyboard so I can project in a surface, and I'll project in this bottom surface, and it'll see it as one selection. I'll hit OK, and then I get that whole edge here. Now I can use the offset tool and then actually click that edge and bring it inwards. To bring it inwards, it's a negative value, so put negative. And instead of putting a number, I already have shell set up, so I'll just type in shell, and that's going to be 1.5 because that's what I set it to. And that's it for that for this specific spot. I'll hit OK, finish sketch, and now what I want to do is I want to follow the way this is kind of going. So as you see, go straight first for 2 millimeters. Let's go -2, and that creates a cut there. And as I go down, you can see, okay, cool. I'm following this straight edge first. I'm going to need that. And then I can select that again, hit extrude, and then bring it all the way up. I'll actually say negative height, because that is the parameter that we have set up. And you can see I didn't apply it to our first extrusion. Well, I'll come back in there. And then for the tapered angle, we can add a tapered angle, whether it was, I think it was -30. Yeah, and I'll hit OK. Let's go back to this extrusion, our first one. And for that 12 there, I'm going to change that to height because that's our user parameter. Okay. Now when I updated that, you'll see that our other extrusion now matches with it. So we get that. Another thing that we need to get going is the degrees. So one cool thing is, let's bring up the user parameter window. You can actually create a user parameter for degrees. So when I hit the plus button, instead of millimeters, let's go down here and change it to angle degree. Cool. So now I can say I want 30 degree or maybe 35. Oh, that's the name. So for the name, let's call it nose bridge because that's where it is. And then we can put 35 here if we want. Hit OK. So now in our extrusion, where we're creating that tapered angle, I think it was the second one, the second extrusion. Right here where it says tapered angle, yeah, see it's -35. Let's put negative nose bridge. That way we can change it. Now in our last extrusion, you can see that that's still a fixed value for tapered angle. Let's change that to the nose bridge, and now it follows it. And now this right here it obeys the thickness that we set for our shell, 1.5 millimeters. You can see here in the bottom distance. And down here as well, it should retain that 1.5 millimeter thickness. That's going to be really important when you are creating something that has very, very specific tolerances. So if I come in here to my user parameter windows and update the thickness, everything gets updated with it, which is great. I'm going to go back down to 1.5. Cool. Same thing with the height. If we want to go a little bit taller, all of that is updating with it because we set it up right. Let's change the degrees. 45 is pretty extreme, but we can do it. Let's go back down to 35. Okay. Okay. Well, we got our nose bridge area. Now, how do we create how do we straighten these edges out? Remember, I only want the nose bridge area to be curved, not everything else. So how do we do that? We actually create another solid. But first I want to create a new profile with a sketch that kind of cuts away this area and only reveals this area. So we can do that by going back into the sketch here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create some lines. So let's hide our body a second so I can actually see it. Now, and I'll connect some dots. So I actually want the nose bridge to kind of end right here on this dot, and I'll actually just go to this dot over there. Now it's at an angle, and that's because it's on purpose, and you'll see why in a minute. So let's do the same thing on the other side. Connect this dot to that one over there. This dot here is actually the dot for this curvature. If you're wondering where that dot came from, that's where it came from. It's just like a curvature dot. As you select it, you'll see that this gets blue. That the curve right there down there gets blue. That lets you know that's where it's from. You'll see every kind of fillet area has those dots there, just to kind of give you an idea of where the center of that curve is. So that's really helpful in this case. So now you can see I have these lines create some sections for me, some cross sections of this, and that's exactly what I want. Another thing I need to do is create some lines that will connect. Actually, I don't think I need to do that. Let's see. Yeah, I do need to do that. All right, let's go back in here into the sketch and close this off as a square. So we need to kind of encompass that nose bridge area. So I'm just creating some lines that will allow me to create a selection that will cut that away. So now if I bring back the sketch, I can select this whole area. Oh, I also need to select the outer area. And now I can do an extrude and just cut it all away, as you can see there. I could also did a, probably easier is I probably could just select this one area. Well, that's two areas. And then say cut, intersect, and it'll just intersect. It'll only leave what is intersected, which is that nose bridge area. So now I have my nose bridge. Yay. Now I need to create another way. I need to create another frame, another body that will have that frame. But you'll notice that I need to create that area here where the eyebrow is. I need to create that curve here. How do I get that curve? Well, I need to go back into our original sketch. You need to create yet another solid. So I'll make this the same. I'll follow the same straight edge here. So I think it was 2. It needs to be operation new body. So I'll hit OK. And now I kind of have to redo those fillets because that's kind of the way I built it, right? So not too bad. I'll bring up the fillet tool again. This is a brand new body. and I'll just add it to it. So I think it was 19.5 for these outer edges. The other selection had these two guys here. It's important that you follow the well, for at least for this case, I think it's important to follow the same fillets. Okay, this one was 18, I believe, and then these guys were smaller. I know the edges out here were 4. Here, and then these two were 4 as well. And then I think it was 8 on the other part here. This one and this one here. Should be 8, double the 4. Okay, cool. So now we have our full extruded cover. And what we should do now is actually create yet another sketch. So with that selected right there, that surface, I'll hit P on my keyboard to project in this surface. Hit OK. And then I can do the offset. Let's do the offset, negative shell. Hit OK. Hit stop sketch. And what I'll do is, oh, now I can just grab this here, that extrusion. Oh, I need to cut this out first. So let's cut this out. I'll say extent. I'll change it to object and just select this top here. That way it's parametric. Hit OK. Okay, cool. So I got that now. And what I'll need to do is, let's hide the first body, the nose bridge area. And what I need to do here is I kind of need to do the same thing that I did with the nose bridge. I need to create sort of a box that will cut away the nose bridge area. So I'm actually going to, instead of using this dot, I'm going to use this dot over here. So I'll come over here, go across, and then go back down again. I need to make sure that this is straight so I can apply a horizontal constraint to it like that. And that's looking good. This doesn't need to be defined. I just need to create something that will not allow me to extrude that. So now that I have that, I'll hit OK. Now I can select this guy here and then just extrude that out, cut it away. So now I have this frame. If I bring back body 1, we can start seeing our 2 bodies. All right, now the other thing I need to do is create some more extrusion here. So I'll hit extrude and extent. I will say to object and select the top of that nose bridge area. That way it's parametric. Whenever I change the height, both of them will change now. So we can test that out by bringing up our user parameters, saying height, let's go 10, and they both go with it. Let's go back to 8, hit OK. Cool, so now all we need to do is, well, we need to create a transition between this surface and the other one that's straight. So how do we do that? Well, I already have them selected, so let's just apply a loft. Loft tool is awesome, it does great things, so hit OK. Now by default, you notice that it looks terrible. And that's because there's no curvature being applied to them. So you can see the 2 profiles. There are some options here where it says connected. Well, you can change that to tangent, and that'll make it tangent, which is great. It'll curve it out and be real nice. If that doesn't look good to you, you have these extra handles here that allow you to kind of add more weight, more curvature to it. So if you want to push it out, each profile can have that. You see it's 10. Click on that one. This one's also 10. You can do that over there too if you want to kind of curve it out more. I'm going to leave them both default by 10. It's important to note that they are not, from what I can see, that those values aren't here in the parameter window. Not parameter window, but the like kind of properties window. They're not there. They only get shown here in the canvas. So I didn't know that, so I thought I'd let you know. But that's looking pretty good. Just adding that tangent and knowing about the weight is going to make you go a long way to create these really nice and seamless tangent curves. So I'll hit OK. That's really all I need to do there. To do it on the other side, we can just use a mirror. Make sure our pattern type is set to features. Then I can just select that loft in the timeline, go to mirror plane, and select this plane. Everything's symmetric, so it just works out fine there. So that's pretty much how you can create a nice transition between surfaces. For this example, you kind of want to keep the same contour. So when I extruded it flat here, I made sure that it was the same values. So now at this point, you can create some more things. Like let's say you wanted to create an offset here. I can create another sketch, offset or create a projection there, and then offset this out. Maybe say shell. And now I can add this, extrude this, and kind of add it to this piece here. Maybe say 1.5 negative shell. Hit OK. That way I have a little bit of a lip area if I wanted to put something in there. And I could even chamfer this edge out if I want. Actually, I think that was a new body. Yeah, I want it to be join. That'll join to that. Now I can apply a chamfer here, maybe one, like that. You can keep adding to it and stuff. Let's say you wanted to round this out. We can say fillet on this edge here, maybe one. Yeah, and then you can round it out. That's looking more like goggles. Very cool. So then at this point, you can start creating all the arms or slots for things. And it's all parametric. So I can come in here and if I want a more extreme or a less extreme angle, it'll just update there like that. That's really cool. And same thing with height. If I want to go down to 6, you can make it thinner. Go back to 8 or 10, make it thicker. And that tangent might, that loft might need some tweaking as you update values when they get really extreme. So just keep that in mind. If you wanted to change the fillet, you might want to add another thing to it, because it looks like I have to do it in 2 places because of the way I had to build the nose bridge first apart from the frame. But that's just the way I created it. You could create it in some other ways too. But that's how I would do it. Let me know what you guys think. If you have any cool tips and stuff like that, definitely leave them in the comments below. It'll help me out and other folks too. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll leave some links and stuff in the description for other things. But I've been Noah, and you've been watching Layer by Layer. I'll see you guys next week or whenever I do these. Thank you guys. Until next time, remember to make a great day. Bye, folks.